Hi, my name is Sherry Pittman, and I'd like to welcome you to another segment of Survive and Thrive in Marriage. Today, we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Debbie Blumthal. Debbie is a local counselor in the area, and she's going to tell us more about herself. Thanks for being with us, Debbie.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you for asking me. I am in private practice. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor. I practice at professional counseling offices, and we're at 1124 South 5th. There's 14 therapists there, and we're all independent, so we can meet almost anyone's needs.
Kind of feed off of each other maybe a little bit. If one person doesn't have something, then another person does.
Yes.
Now, you've done some educational counseling as well as some marital counseling. Tell us a little bit about the marital counseling. And I hear divorce counseling too.
Yeah, it's a little different. My experience recently has been working with couples who have been married for a long time, 20, 30 years.
20, 30 years, that's a while. And they're coming in for counseling?
They're coming in for counseling and looking seriously at divorcing. And it just seems that after that many years, that I'm used to having couples who have a lot of struggling at the beginning of their marriage.
Really? Okay.
But this particular age group is a little bit different.
So typically we would see couples just getting started out, maybe having their own patterns from living with their parents or their family or however doing their own thing, and they come together and they have to kind of figure out how to dance together, so to speak. They come to you, you help them with that. That has been the traditional type. But you're seeing this new trend where couples that have been married for 20 to 30 years are coming in and wanting counseling. And if I'm not mistaken, you said something about divorce counseling as well. I'm not quite sure what that is. What is that?
Well, you may have, well, most marriages are in crisis for at least 9 months before they ever seek help.
Okay.
Okay.
So they kind of put up, they try to figure it out on their own, and before you know it, good 9 months have already passed before they even call you.
They're in crisis. So at that point, often you might have a person saying, I don't even want to try. I don't want to do this anymore.
Frustrated.
Yes. And I had an experience this year where the husband said, I really want to, I think we need to be divorced. I love you. I care for you. We're not together. We're not on the same page anymore. And the wife said, no, I really want to work. I want to work on this. And so we did counseling probably 2 or 3 months. And
the typical time?
Yes. Yes. Well, sometimes that can be longer. Okay. But there came a point where the husband just said, I don't see anything changing. And so I did divorce counseling. I don't know if that's, it's a term that I use, but because we have so many different professionals in our office, we have mediators, people who can actually help you get a divorce without killing each other. And you don't have to spend a fortune. I mean, divorce today costs as much as a wedding. Interesting.
Well, the whole idea of divorce counseling, I think, is new. If I'm not mistaken, this is something you've coined.
It is
divorce counseling.
Yes.
And kind of for those who find that there is no other alternative, and that they will pursue divorce regardless, then basically it sounds like to me that the divorce counseling is a way to do it as peacefully as possible.
Right.
Without taking each other's heads off.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about just on the marital counseling side, and maybe even the separation. Are there certain techniques that can help a couple when they're just more in the frustrated part? They really still want to work it out. They say they love each other. Maybe they've been faithful to each other, but they have some other issues that are going on. Are there like things that can help them, or what are you seeing as the typical problems for couples that are married and they want to be together?
Time. I think it's always number one. It's there that you have to invest in your marriage. And if you're not dating, and make it an assignment.
Really?
Yes.
Once a week?
Once a week, minimum.
Minimum?
That's minimum.
Maximum?
Oh, every night.
Okay. Okay, but once a week minimum.
Yes, yes. And you got to concentrate on each other. At the dinner table, or if you're out eating, a lot of people go out to eat now, and no texting, no phone. The phone has to go away. Just being interested in the person you're with. And especially with the older couples, they think they know each other, but they really don't know each other. They really don't.
How does it show that they don't know each other? What are the telltale signs that they don't know each other?
Well, they know how to trigger each other. Okay.
Trigger meaning make them angry?
Yes, well, yeah, professionally, they're good at it. But they've forgotten how to love each other.
How to bring out the best.
Exactly.
Is that, this is a silly question, it takes different things to bring out the best in different people?
Sure.
So do you have like suggestions as to, like for some examples, like one kind of person, you don't have to say the kind of person, but one person may need this to bring out the best, another person may need this to bring out the best. A few examples?
Opposites attract.
Okay.
Okay. So you may have a wife who's a chatterbox, and the husband doesn't say one word ever. And typically the woman will say, he never makes a decision. He never. Making his positive traits look negative. They're not negative. They complement her.
Oh.
And when you bring that to their attention, it's like, yeah, that's true. He does. He listens very well, or at least I think he's listening. But using those kinds of things, finding what attracted you to the person in the very beginning is a key to keeping your marriage solid.
So if say a person was humorous and you were enamored by their good humor, sometimes I've heard, and I'm not a counselor, but I've heard that sometimes a positive can later turn into a negative. Right. Is that the case as well?
Yes, it is true. When you become when you're making remarks that are derogatory and humor,
yes,
that's repressed anger.
And of course, someone would know that if they been in a long-term relationship. They know that they've been down this path several other times, and what appears to be humor and entertaining for everyone else is really a put down for them. And needless to say, somebody's going to go home angry that night.
Yes,
needless to say. Okay, all right. So I'm still a little intrigued by the couples the 20, 30-year married couples who are coming in for counseling, or some of them. I know you said some are coming wanting divorce counseling. Are you seeing many that are coming and wanting marital counseling? I know you said sometimes you get one on each side of the fence there. I want to stay married, I want to work at, and others like, I want a divorce, help me, show me how to get out of this.
Right.
So are you seeing a good percentage of those that are on the side of, we've been married forever and a day, it's not working, please help us to get this together?
Get together?
No, because they're already in that mode that they're so frustrated and angry. When should they have come to see you?
You know, when I work with young couples, I always tell them, you are here right now at the early stage of your marriage. Don't forget it. This is how you get help. You go to your minister, you go to your therapist, you go to your doctor. If you have some significant issues going on in your relationship, get help. And the sooner you get help, it's a lot less possibility of a divorce.
Okay.
All right.
So those long-term problems, they become dry and harden, and they leave a stain, and it makes it far more difficult to get them back on the right track. Is it possible? And if it is possible, what does it take?
the individual who's the, the individual who's presenting with the issues that they had maybe in their past and their like alcoholism.
Right,
okay?
right,
You
right.
didn't drink, so now you decided to drink. They have full control over that. The other partner can pray for them and send them to rehab, can support them. All right, I won't drink, whatever, or whatever they need. But it really is the individual who makes that decision. So.
Now, you said earlier, I think when we were talking, that a lot of times these couples that have been married 20, 25, 30 years, 35 years even, that many times they had whatever habit that they had before they got married. In other words, a propensity to do whatever it is, be it gambling, pornography, I forget one of the other ones.
There's sexual addictions, there's alcoholism,
the drinking, the drugs, that they had that propensity to start with.
Right.
But when they got married, they like shut the door on that and took those vows to be the best husband or wife that they could be, and walked that path for 10, 20, 30 years. Yes. But evidently something turned, and now I'm wondering, are they thinking that maybe it's not worth it anymore? And they're like, I'm going back and doing what I wanted to do when I was 15, or...
You want to think that that's what's actually going on, but the reality is that they have built a life together. They want to keep that life together, but as we age, it's very, very hard to keep a facade up. And so I am not an alcoholic. I am not a drug addict. If you've not dealt with those things, they will come back, and you'll be talking about them in a 30-year marriage.
Wow, wow. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back in just a little bit. We'll continue to talk about the types of things that pull us apart, and we'll be right back in just a little bit. Hi, I'm Sherry Pittman, and I want to welcome you to join us in watching Survive and Thrive in Marriage. The show airs each Sunday at 9 a.m. on WCIX, as well as on Access 4 at 10:30 a.m., 4 p.m., and again at 10:30 p.m. We just enjoy fanning the fire to encourage marriages, and we want for you to join us as well. We look forward to seeing you then. Thanks a lot. Bye. Hi, we're back with Debbie Blumthal. Debbie, we were just talking about the situation with couples that have been married for 20, 25, 30, 35 years, coming now to get marital counseling. And we were talking about how some of those couples, they are dealing with issues that were there long before they got married, maybe even before they met one another. Then they meet the love of their life, and they put those things aside. Maybe it was pornography, maybe it was gambling, maybe it was whatever addiction, drugs, alcohol even. Maybe they stopped drinking because they cared so much about this person, entered into the relationship. 20, 30, 40 years later, they're like, I don't like this anymore. And they're going back to some of their old habits. Is that what I'm hearing you tell me?
Yes. As we age, it's much harder for us to keep up a facade, okay? And it's easier to be, if you will, the natural you. And if you've not dealt with those issues, and a lot of people don't,
right,
okay?
Right.
Then those things will come back, and that's really is who you are.
I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a counselor, but I think that when people first meet each other and there's like this attraction, that they generally put on a facade because they want, they're attracted. They obviously want to be in that relationship of some sort to some degree, and it's very easy to put on a facade.
I encourage young couples who are thinking about getting married, 18 months. It's like a magic number. You can put up a show, if you will, for 18 months. But after that, the honeymoon's over. And so the person that you're with is the person you are with.
So 18 months is like a dating time?
I would say at the least 18 months.
18 months. What do you think about meeting like their family, their friends, that type of thing, to learn more about them?
You get what you attract.
Okay.
Okay. So who are they hanging out with?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I see. I wasn't quite sure where we were going with that, but I got you.
So I think it's really critical to have those relationships.
So, for example, if he shows up as Mr. Clean, and when you meet his friends, he's the Dirt Bike Riders Club USA president, you know, you got a little bit of reconciling to do there, right?
Yeah, I tell young people, if the person you're looking at is someone that you're really thinking you want to marry, in that 18 months, if they tell you 3 lies.
3 lies?
3 lies. Don't marry them.
Oh my gosh, because?
Because if they told you 3 whoppers before you married them,
they're going to tell you some more later.
You're going to hear a lot more later.
When they were on their best behavior, they told you 3. So guess what? Multiply it, right?
Yes. And we're talking about big things. I mean,
like how old you are.
Would that be?
I don't know. I'm asking. What's a big thing? You have children?
You have children. You've been married before.
You're still married.
Ooh, very important one. Mental illness.
Wow, that's a biggie.
Yeah, sure it is.
That's
and there's people who get married, and I didn't know she was bipolar.
Oh, wow.
And then they decide not to take medication. Yeah, this is going to impact your marriage big time.
Ooh. Wow. Well, so let's talk a little bit more then about, let's assume that they didn't tell 3 big lies in those first 18 months.
Okay.
And they got off to a smooth start. But let's say that they put aside a bad habit, though. Drinking.
Alcohol's a good choice.
Alcohol. And they chose art. Pornography, I think, is huge now that we have the internet. I mean, it was huge before the internet. Internet just made it easier, and you know, I think it costs less. Some sites are free, and just so they can reel you in deeper. I don't know, but it seems to me sometimes I'm doing searches and I get stuff thrown in my face and wasn't even looking for that. So I'm assuming that if I deliberately looked, there'd be a whole bunch of stuff for free for me.
Yes.
So oftentimes, of course, that can be an issue in a marriage, and if one of the 2 spouses speak up and say, hey, you know, I consider that you're cheating on me, people, I assume they do look at it that way.
It's interesting because I'm not going to say just men, but typically you'll hear it from men that they don't consider that cheating.
What is the thought process with those 2? Because women see it as cheating, men don't. Is that kind of the rule of thumb?
Men feel that unless there's intercourse, there's not cheating.
Oh, I heard Bill Clinton's name. I'm sorry, but
yes,
go ahead.
You did.
Okay. He helped us move more towards a nation with that thought process.
That's
if it wasn't intercourse, that was not sex.
That's correct. It's called sexual addiction is what that's called.
Okay. Yeah. So men see it as not sex. Do you think they men really believe that?
I think they really want to believe that.
Okay. So how do we, let me ask the counselor, how do we define sex?
How do we define sex? And we're not talking gender.
No, we're talking, is or is it not intercourse?
Well, certainly
this is a family show, so we kind of, you know, if we have to adjust the language a little bit, we can do that.
Thank you. Okay. Certainly intimacy that you would not have in public places.
Well, intimacy that you would not have in public places. I like this. Okay. I like this.
And I'll just leave it at that because it's a family show.
Okay. All right. Well, let me go this direction with the same question. I used to do some training in this area, remotely connected to this area. And one of the questions that would come up would be, would you exhibit this behavior in front of your mother, in front of your wife or your husband? It was actually sexual harassment prevention training is what I did back in the day for some time. And so the question was always, is this sexual harassment? Is this sexual harassment? And then the check question for yourself was, would you do that if your significant other was around? So, for example, if I was flirting with you, touchy, rubby, would I do that if my significant other was around? That's the checkpoint. So I guess if we were talking about pornography, I know that's kind of a stringent definition, but if we were talking about pornography, needless to say, Bill Clinton would not pass the test. No. We got that. But if we were talking about pornography, would I, and I guess some women might approve of their spouses looking at this type of thing.
Yes.
So, is that something that the individual couple has to work out? Is this part of their moral, ethical fiber?
It really is. It's not something I can make a choice on. I can help them work through those things, and often they'll carry that from their family. So those values.
What's acceptable and what's not.
Exactly.
So and when you help them work through it, what you're doing then is you're kind of finding out what did they bring from their family, and helping them to find a happy medium as to now what is the new acceptable for them. Would that be putting words in your mouth?
No, that would be pretty accurate.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm curious still as to what kinds of things are bringing the couples in. I know you said that they had suspended. They've been putting up facades, and that whole thing about facades is just, I think, really, really key. It's, people put them up for different reasons. Their motivation for facades. Can you speak to some of that to maybe help them bring some of it down or something?
Well, I think because just as a professional, I don't want someone to think that I'm at home watching porn. Okay, even though I might have that real desire to do that. So keeping that facade keeps me employed.
Oh yes.
Keeps me married. It keeps me successful.
Okay.
And once you start bringing those down, it starts impacting your family, financial, your whole world will crash.
Wow. So if a person had an issue like that, even like I'm thinking someone who maybe had an addiction to cocaine, maybe they've hid it real well, or addiction to marijuana, they've hid it really, really well. But in order for them to deal with the truth, it is not an easy matter. It threatens their whole entire lifestyle, or could threaten it, in which case they keep the facade. And when you hold these kind of facades, then the person that you're in relationship with, who are they in relationship with?
That's a good question.
Is that a real person, or is that the facade they're in the relationship with?
Excellent question. Excellent.
My goodness.
Because people will say, I have not changed. And indeed, they haven't. They just have a facade.
Wow. Is there a way to take gently down one brick at a time and, kind of restructure, as opposed to just bulldozing the wall and losing everything?
Well, when couples come to me and one of them is dealing with something from their past, I like to send them to a very specific place that deals specifically with their addiction, and then I keep the marriage counseling and what they're doing out there they can bring back in to our setting. But I like to keep the addictions with specialists that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because they're much meaner than I am. Much
meaner. They get to the point, get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, there are lots and lots of education, and these are this is your chosen path. I mean, this is what your life's going to look like.
I think that's helpful information. So if a couple comes and somebody is willing to do a little peekaboo with what their huge issue is, and you see that enough, then you recommend that they go see a specialist.
I do that almost consistently.
Are people willing to do a little peekaboo?
Sure.
And let you know that they got a little something? Do they usually do it with the other person present, or do they want to kind of pull you to the side and?
It's kind of humorous because when you're seeing a husband and a wife, and you know, the husband will come in and goes, "I know she told you, didn't she?" Okay.
I know she told you, didn't she? Oh, about whatever the issue is.
Whatever the issue is.
Because obviously she's run into it, and that's part of the reason why they're at odds with each other, because she's frustrated or he's frustrated, whichever the case might be.
Yeah.
You send them to a specialist. So.
Yeah, and I'll go with them to with Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't care where they need to go, rehab. It's scary. It just is.
Wow. Wow.
And especially if you've not dealt with it at a younger age, and now you're
well established. Your society is looking up to you.
Yes.
You know, I think about some of the recent suicides that we've had, that people have. You know, we all thought that everything was well and grand and should be excited, but you know, it turned into something different at the end. But nevertheless, people can come get some help. Where's your office again?
It's 1124 South 5th. I always have to think about this.
Okay.
It's across from Staub Funeral Home.
All right. And it's Debbie Blumthal.
It is.
What's your phone number?
It's 744-3525.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. Well, you have been a delight today. You've enlightened us. I didn't know some of those things were going on. And who knows, maybe we can have you back again another time.
Maybe we could do couples.
That would be great. That would be great.
So.
I want to thank you for being with us as well. Debbie, thank you as well. And we look forward to joining and being with you again. Thank you for inviting us into your household and spending the time. We enjoy being with you on Survive and Thrive in Marriage. And until next time, have a great day.
Hey.